What is up, everybody? It is True Sage, and yes, don't have to ask again no more. It is still pronounced True Sage. I know it's been a minute since I've been hitting y'all with some One Piece content. My bad. I've been trying to explore the content. Y'all mad at me? Don't be mad at me. Today, this is all 10 Awakened Devil Fruit users explained. I think the last time I reacted to an Awakened Devil Fruit user was probably whenever Gear 5 Luffy fought against Lucy. I do think that the whole concept of awakening devil fruits is actually pretty cool, but I don't know everyone who's an awakened devil fruit user. I wonder, is it possible for every single devil fruit user to be awakened? Like, can Law awaken his devil fruit? And if Law did awaken his devil fruit, what the fuck would they even look like? I don't want to waste some guys' time. Hit the subscribe button. After that, we can get straight into the video.
In the world of One Piece, there's a rare phenomenon of devil fruit awakening that only a handful of characters have managed to achieve.
I
This
just want to see my
mysterious
boy Law
process
awaken
makes
his devil
devil fruit
fruit.
users
Please tell me that
infinitely
happens.
more powerful and grants them many impressive new abilities. So today, we'll be explaining all 10 devil fruit users who managed to awaken their powers, starting with the strongest member in CP9's history, Rob Lucci. At some
The fact that there's only 10 devil fruit awakenings out of all people that had devil fruits goes to show how rare it is to happen.
point in his
go,
life, Lucci ate the Neko Neko no Mi, model leopard, and despite it obviously granting him the ability to turn into a human leopard, this fruit also dramatically increased his physical strength, as shown when he easily threw Luffy and Zoro through a building across the whole city. Upon awakening this fruit, Lucci's hybrid form undergoes a physical transformation where its size increases, his body becomes more slim, and a dark flame forms a mane down his back and arms.
I think the Dark Man is kind of cool because it kind of reminds me of like Luffy's little like Cloud Man as well. I like Lucci's Devil Fruit Awakening. It is nice. His Devil Fruit is not the coolest thing in the world, but I do think his awakening does make his fruit a lot more interesting. So
Lucci mostly uses this fruit to make his Rokushiki techniques like Shigan and Rankyaku more powerful, utilizing claws on his fingers and the strength in his legs. He also learned to use Seimei Kikan, which allows him to freely manipulate his body parts. Lucci mostly uses this to shrink and compress his muscles, transforming him into a smaller, more human form in which he's much faster than usual. Although Lucci had incredible growth throughout the series and became much stronger, he ultimately proved to be no match for Luffy in his Gear 5th form, and thereafter deserves to be placed in A tier.
Oh, he's even ranking? That's cool.
Katakuri is the strongest commander of the
listen, I love Katakuri, bro. I gotta take a DNA test because we may be related. I'm lying, we're not. But I love Katakuri, bro. That scene, I've seen a scene where Katakuri just chilling, like he was just eating donuts and shit. That motherfucker talking some donuts. Ooh, donuts. Now, one thing I want to talk about too, another reason why I love Katakuri, this motherfucker has an 8-pack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He has an 8-pack. Also, why does shirt in the back have no goddamn neck? Anyways.
Mom Pirates and the governor of the Komugi Island. His devil fruit is called Mochi Mochi no Mi, and it's a special Paramecia devil fruit that allows him to create, control, and transform into mochi. Katakuri uses this ability in many unique ways, like transforming his leg into mochi and using it as a weapon.
Have you ever had mochi?
And using it
Mochi's
to entrap
actually,
his
I
opponents,
like it.
and even
I like
enlarging
it.
his limbs to a gigantic size and stretching them to increase his attack range. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy could even make a subscribe button out of mochi and then make people click it.
That was
Please,
smooth how you
guys,
did that.
Just subscribe so I can stop making these stupid subscribe jokes every video. Thanks. Anyway, on the one hand, Katakuri's fruit is pretty similar to Luffy's fruit, as it allows Katakuri to extend his limbs. But one major difference is that due to Mochi Mochi no Mi being a special Paramecia fruit, Katakuri can also fully transform his body into mochi, similar to Logia users. Once Katakuri mastered and awakened this fruit, it even enabled him to transform nearby material into mochi.
It's not like a Logia in the sense of like, Logia users, unless you use the element that they're using or just flat out hockey, you can't damage them. He's like an off-brand Logia user, except for I think he's probably stronger than some Logia users though.
Greatly enhancing the range of his attacks and allowing him to manipulate the environment to his advantage. Even though Katakuri eventually lost his 21-episode-long fight against Luffy, it's obvious that he's an incredibly strong fighter and therefore deserves to be placed in A tier. There are still 8 more extremely powerful characters left to cover, and the next one is the Puppet Master, Don Quixote Doflamingo.
I forgot
Doflamingo is a former warlord of the Sea Awakening. Yeah, he did. A Paramecia-type devil fruit that allows him to create and manipulate strings. Doflamingo usually uses this fruit by bending his fingers to move strings as he pleases and manipulates people like puppets. He can also use these strings to cut his targets and destroy their weapons. Show when he managed to cleanly sever Little Lord Jr.'s leg in one swift motion and even decapitate Crocodile. His defensive capabilities are also no joke, as he could cross his strings to form a net, slicing in half an asteroid in order to protect himself. Due to him mastering the power of this fruit, he managed to awaken it, which made him an even bigger monster. His awakened fruit allows him to transform the ground and buildings around him into strings and use them for his attacks. When utilizing this new power,
See,
Doflamingo tends to stay on the
This is how I knew he was a Awakened Devil Fruit user. All right, peep game and lock in. I used to play Blox Fruits on stream, right? So that's actually how I knew he had Devil Fruit Awakening. So yeah.
ground, shaping his strings into sharp tentacles and unleashing them down on targets. In addition, these new awakened strings can also be infused with armament hockey, granting Doflamingo even more offensive power. It's needless to say that Doflamingo was one of the strongest warlords in the series, and therefore B tier should be a
How you gonna say he's one of the strongest warlords and then put him in B? That's crazy.
Can be a bit different than Paramecia Awakening, as it comes with the risk of the animal's nature consuming the user. This can cause them to lose their personalities and become simple-minded beasts, which is exactly what happened to the next characters on the list, the Awakened Zoans of Impel Down. These characters are Mino Zebra, the user that ate Zebra Fruit, Mino Rhinoceros, the user that ate Rhino Fruit, Mino Taurus, the user who ate Holstein Cow Fruit, and Mino Koala, the user that ate Koala Fruit. The 4 awakened jailer beasts are the most feared creatures within Impel Down due to their great strength, bloodlust, and ruthlessness. Due to them being awakened zone users, they're also incredibly durable and recover from injuries really fast. However, even with these abilities, they can still be relatively easily defeated by strong fighters such as Luffy, Jinbei, and Crocodile. It's also important to mention that although they're the strongest guards, there's some stronger people working in prison, such as Magellan, Hannibal, and maybe even Sadi. These Zoan users are obviously the weakest characters on the list so far and deserve to be placed in D tier.
Yeah, I figured it's probably D tier.
Kaku is currently a member of CP0, the strongest intelligence organization working directly under the World Nobles. We were first introduced to Kaku during the Water 7 arc, and later during Enies Lobby, we witnessed him acquiring the power of Ushi Ushi no Mi, model Giraffe. This Zoan-type Devil Fruit allowed Kaku to transform into either hybrid or full giraffe form at will.
Ooh, that
Although
boy
Giraffe is a
knows,
mostly harmless
boy. Look at
animal,
that.
Kaku quickly demonstrated how effective and deadly this fruit can be in the right hands, especially when combined with his Rokushiki skills and the Four-Sword style, allowing him to overpower Zoro in battle and almost defeat him. Upon awakening his fruit,
it's still
Kaku
tough.
could
It ain't
assume a
D tier.
new,
Well,
much
about to say
more
about C
powerful
tier,
hybrid
maybe?
form, which greatly enhanced his physical strength, speed, as well as his recovery rate. In this form, his already long giraffe neck becomes even longer and serpent-like, enabling him to perform
he's
powerful
literally
cutting
throwing
movements with
neck
it.
at niggas. That is actually insane, bro. He's actually throwing neck. Yo, I gotta get some of that, man.
Same as Lucci,
I mean, like,
Kaku
fight
didn't
him,
lose his
fight him. I
personality
mean, like, I
while
gotta fight
awakening
him.
this Zoan fruit, which made him infinitely stronger than Impel Down jailers who completely lost their identity due to the fruit's power. As noted by Zoro, the only real weakness of this devil fruit is having a long and very exposed neck that can be easily exploited. However, despite
Neck is
this,
too
Kaku
dangerous.
proved himself
Neck
to be a
lethal.
pretty tough opponent for Straw Hats, and I think B tier would be a perfect place for him.
I
With
thought
this,
we'll
we're
put him in C tier.
exactly halfway through the video, which means that there's still 5 more characters who fully managed to awaken their devil fruit powers.
Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can guess. Luffy? What the fuck is this? It's not Crocodile. Is that Law? There's no way. Okay, I'll say what happens if Law gets his Devil Fruit Awakening. Does Law? I don't think Law had a Devil Fruit Awakening. Did he? Nah. It can't be Crocodile. It may be Crocodile. Luffy, Crocodile. Nah, Buggy didn't have a Devil Fruit Awakening. Oh, I don't know.
So let's
I don't know.
continue with the one you may not know about, Guild Tesoro. Tesoro was the owner of the largest entertainment
Educate
city
me.
ship in the world and served as the main antagonist of the One Piece film, Gold. The
Oh,
food
okay,
game
this is a
called
One Piece
Goro
movie
Goro
villain.
no Mi, and it allows him to manipulate gold at will. For example, he can quickly change the state of gold to either liquid or solid and can shape it in any way he desires. He can even encase living beings in gold, turning them into golden statues.
That's
in terms
crazy.
of defensive abilities, Tesoro can cover his own body with gold, creating a strong golden armor that's hard enough to withstand extremely powerful attacks, including hits from Gear 4 Luffy and cuts from Zoro's three-sword style techniques. Since consuming this devil fruit, Tesoro has been able to awaken his powers, gaining even further influence over gold. This enabled him to use all of the gold on the ship as an observation system, allowing him to detect break-ins or attacks on the city. With this,
That's
he
actually a
also
pretty cool
gained the
devil
ability to unleash explosive beams of metallic energy that were powerful enough to destroy the entire marine warship. Although this fruit is extremely powerful, it has some weaknesses. Namely, Tesoro can't create any new gold. He can only use the gold present in his surroundings, which means that this fruit is pretty much useless. If
Wait,
there's no
hold on.
gold
You can
lying
only
around.
use the gold in your surrounding. What if you broke as fuck and you're not around gold? C
I mean,
tier.
no wonder this
Yeah,
guy
I
lives
thought
on
he
a
can like
huge
just
floating
make. Never mind. Get this trash ass there from my motherfucking face.
Eustace Kid. Captain Eustace Kid
Kid?
is a notorious
I didn't know
pirate
Kid had a
from
Death
South
Fruit
Blue,
Awakening.
as well as one of the strongest members of the Worst Generation. Kid ate the Jiki Jiki no Mi, a Paramecia-type devil fruit which allows him to create magnetic forces and use them to control metal. Kid makes excellent use of his devil fruit during combat. For example, he can repel metallic objects away from himself, such as cannonballs, or attract objects within his vicinity and create mechanical contraptions. This ability also makes him extremely powerful against fighters who use metal weapons, as he can easily disarm them using his devil fruit and use their weapons as building materials. However, Kid's favorite way to use his fruit's power is to form gigantic metallic arms connected to his actual ones and use them in close-range combat. After fully
didn't even know
mastering
he had
and
an
awakening
awakening
his
fruit.
devil fruit, Kid unlocked a new ability to manifest magnetic properties onto his targets. This basically means that if Kid targets someone with a significant amount of metal surrounding them, they'll quickly be crushed, with force being strong enough to even rip large structures towards them. He can
Damn.
also stick opponents to a piece of the environment like a magnet, rendering them immobilized and vulnerable to all attacks. Despite his newly awakened abilities being incredibly strong, Kid is not yet used to them and therefore only uses them as a last resort during tough battles.
I
With this
did
in
not
mind,
know he
I
had
don't
Death
think
Fruit
I can
Awakening.
place Kid any higher than B tier.
So who's gonna be
Truffle God
SD?
D Water.
Law! Law has a Death Fruit Awakening. I didn't know his shit was awakened.
Kid, Law is also a pirate captain and one of the strongest members of
He
the
had
Worst
an awakening.
Generation.
Hold on, let me
His
sit up
devil
for
fruit
this.
is called Ope Ope no Mi, and it allows him to create a force field in which he can freely modify anyone or anything. This fruit is renowned for allowing Law to perform miraculous surgeries and cure untreatable diseases. It's also known as the ultimate devil fruit because of its unique power to grant another person eternal youth in exchange for the user's own life. For this reason, the world government is willing to pay 5 billion bellies to anyone who can deliver this fruit to them. Besides the fruit's medical capabilities, Law is also very skilled in using it during combat, either to redirect attacks coming at him or to disarm his opponents. Furthermore, the Obe Obe no Mi makes Law well suited at fighting long-range battles, since he can practically control the entire fighting area as long as his powers are active. Having achieved the awakening of this fruit, Law became capable of coating objects with the space-distorting essence, allowing
Really?
him to increase their size or make them phase through targets. Law primarily utilizes these new powers with his sword, releasing powerful internal shockwaves on his victims after
Oh,
piercing
I've
them.
seen him
Although
do
Law's
this. I
devil
just
fruit
didn't
is
know it was
arguably among
awakened.
the strongest ones on this list, since he's still not used to its full powers, I can't really put him in S tier. Before we
Hey,
cover the
this guy
strongest
A.
awakened devil fruit user on this list, let's quickly go over one of the former members of the Roger Pirates, Douglas Bullet. During
Okay,
his
I
youth,
thought that
Bullet
was
was a
Crocodile.
member
I
of
was-
the
I knew
Roger
Crocodile
Pirates
didn't
and
have
was
a Death
later
Fruit Awakening.
captured and imprisoned and impelled down for over 20 years. However, after Luffy and Blackbeard broke into the prison, he escaped with other inmates. Bullet ate the Gasha Gasha no Mi, a Paramecia-type devil fruit that allows him to telekinetically disassemble and reassemble objects into whatever he pleases. With the fruit's power,
It's actually
Bullet
kind
can
of-
create large
kind of
mechanical
OP a little
structures,
bit.
including submarines and robot suits, in order to increase his fighting prowess. Like other characters on this list, he also managed to awaken his fruit, which allowed him to manipulate objects from a much greater range and even restructure the landscape of entire islands as he saw fit. Bullet can
Damn.
also use this power on himself along with Armament Hockey in order to enter a powered state, similar to how Luffy enters his Gear 4 forms. In this state, his body turns shining blue with red eyes, and his arms are expanded and compressed to grant him maximum offensive power. One major downside to this fruit, though, is that it's entirely dependent on the resources Bullet has at his disposal, and he also must know exactly what he's making and how it's made, meaning it's
what,
also
about
limited by
C-tier
his
maybe?
mechanical knowledge.
I gotta be like at
Ultimately,
least
since
C-tier.
Bullet isn't a canon character, I can't place him any higher
Yeah, I'm
than
about to say.
C-tier.
So the only
Luffy
S tier
v.
character is Luffy.
As we all know at the beginning of the series, Luffy ate the Goma Goma no Mi, a Paramecia-type devil fruit that granted his body the properties of rubber, effectively turning him into a rubber human. However, only recently in the manga did we discover that Luffy's fruit is actually called Hito Hito no Mi, Model Nika, and that it's actually a mythical Zoan fruit that allows Luffy to turn into the Sun God. According to the Five Elders, this fruit has not been awakened for centuries before Luffy did it, and based on their reactions, it's clear that they're terrified of its power. The first time he
would be
awakened
too.
this fruit, Luffy's appearance changed drastically, with his hair and clothes turning white, his eyebrows resembling spirals, and steam wrapping all around him. However, this awakening didn't only change Luffy's appearance, as he also got many new combat abilities, such as freely manipulating the shape and size of his body, manipulating the environment around him like it's made of rubber, and even stretching anything he touches. With all these new abilities,
it's like a
Luffy was
fucking
finally
cartoon
able to bring
character.
down one of the 4 Emperors of the Sea, Kaido, and if he managed to do that, the other characters on this list should pose no real threat to him. Therefore,
Nah,
Luffy is
they-
the first character that deserves to be in the S tier. Click on this video where we explain what would
Interesting.
happen if someone...
Keep it real. I did not know Law had Death Fruit Awakening, man. Maybe you don't know by now, but like Law, that'd be my favorite One Piece character. If I had to have any different fruit, it had to be Law's fruit. So I thought every time a person achieves Death Fruit Awakening, it's a very like dramatic kind of change that happens to him. And with Law, it's not really a dramatic kind of change. I mean, he gets gains his abilities, but you know. Now, let me know in the comment section down below. What is your favorite Death Fruit Awakening? Wait down there, subscribe button. It does help me, but it helps you too. YCC content similar to this one. If you guys did subscribe me, I appreciate it a lot. If you guys didn't, I guess we'll part ways. Either way, God mind to keep it easy. I'm going. Peace.
That's all it is, man. Leap of faith. So much, 100